Welcome to Relation Tales. Please like this video and subscribe Relation Tales. We're grateful for each and every one of you. Let us know where in the world you're tuning in from. We'd love to hear from you in the comments. Let's begin. People always say you can tell when a marriage starts to die. They talk about cold dinners, quiet evenings, two people becoming roommates instead of partners. But sometimes, the death is silent, painless, slow enough that you don't notice until someone else points to the gravestone. For me, the warning signs weren't dramatic. No shouting, no slammed doors, just distance. Claire started wearing perfume to quick grocery runs. She came home late from meetings that ran over. She guarded her phone the way someone guards a passport at the airport. I kept brushing the signs away, telling myself marriage goes through phases. We had routines, morning coffee together, her humming while getting ready, the two of us planning weekend breakfasts. That's what made the shift so sharp. One day she kissed me goodbye. 2 weeks later, she barely looked me in the eye. But what broke me wasn't the coldness. It was how good she was at pretending. Like the night she made spaghetti, my favorite, with that warm smile she used to give me before everything changed. She set the plate in front of me and said, "You've been working so hard, Daniel. You deserve a good meal." Her voice was sweet, soft, but her eyes, they were somewhere else. And yet, even then, I didn't suspect betrayal. I suspected stress, pressure, maybe burnout. The truth didn't hit me until one moment. Strange, small, stupid. She left her phone on the couch while she ran upstairs to grab a sweater. The screen lit up. A notification popped. Not a name, just an initial, L, with a heart. I didn't touch it. I didn't unlock it. I didn't even pick it up. But something cold slipped down my spine. She came back downstairs and nearly snatched the phone off the cushion before I could even say anything. That was the first night I felt something inside me pull tight, a knot I couldn't loosen. The following week, she barely spoke during dinner. She ate fast, wiped her mouth, and said, "I'm really tired. Long day. I'm going to bed early." I stayed behind, staring at the empty chair across from me, wondering if I was imagining things or losing my marriage without a single argument. I wish the story ended with me confronting her right then, but it didn't. A week later came the moment that changed everything. But I'm not beginning with the phone scene you gave. I'm building to it naturally. That night, I had fallen asleep early on the couch after a long day at work. When I finally dragged myself upstairs, she was already in bed with the lamp still glowing beside her. I slipped under the covers quietly. She didn't acknowledge me, just kept scrolling. Then she paused, turned slightly away from me, held the phone near her lips. Her shoulders tensed in a way that wasn't meant for me. Something tugged at my instincts, something sharp and unsettling. So I stayed perfectly still, not because I knew what she was about to do, but because for the first time in years, I didn't feel trusted enough to move. She waited until she thought my breathing slowed, until she was convinced I was fully asleep, before she spoke in a voice so soft, so gentle, so full of someone else, that my chest tightened instantly. But before she whispered that message, before the bomb dropped, something important happened inside me. A realization. This wasn't stress. This wasn't burnout. This wasn't a rough patch. A woman who loves you doesn't hide her smile when she reads a text from another man. A woman who loves you doesn't walk 2 steps ahead of you at the store. A woman who loves you doesn't swallow her laughter around you, but release it freely with someone else. I didn't know the full truth yet, but I knew something was about to shatter. And in that moment, quiet, dark, still, I slid my hand under my pillow and opened a voice memo app. Not because I want to trap her, because something told me, whatever she's about to say, you'll need proof. And I was right, because 30 seconds later, her voice turned into a knife. Her whisper drifted through the dim room like a blade wrapped in silk. "Hey, it's me," she murmured, voice soft in a way I hadn't heard in months. "Yeah, he's right here. Completely out. I can talk." Her tone was tender, affectionate, everything she had stopped being with me. My chest tightened. My throat burned. My breathing slowed to a crawl. Then she giggled quietly. "Logan, you worry too much. He's clueless." Honestly, it's sad how easy this is. My stomach flipped to the name, Logan, the same initial I saw on her screen. Her real estate advisor. Her work buddy. Her nothing to worry about. She continued speaking softly, completely unaware that every word she released was being recorded, preserved, and carving itself into me like a brand. No, really, she said, her whisper sharpening with confidence. He thinks we're just going through a rough patch. He's so predictable, so safe. A pause, then a laugh. But I'm not staying married to someone who just settles. I'm not built for that. I swallowed hard, focusing on the rise and fall of her voice, because if I focused on the meaning, the pain might have made a sound sheet here. She shifted on the mattress, getting comfortable. I'm almost done here, she breathed. A few more weeks. I want the house locked and legally. Once everything's in my name, I'm out. The air in the room changed, thick, heavy, like something sacred had been shattered. My wife wasn't just cheating. She was planning an exit strategy crafted on manipulation. A future financed by my loyalty. She continued, voice delicate, tainted with affection that wasn't meant for me. Of course I want to be with you. But until the house is settled, I need to play the part. You know that. Another soft hum. Yes. I miss you too. I closed my eyes because opening them felt too raw. That was the moment I lost the illusion of our marriage completely. Not when she admitted love for someone else, but when she described me like I was an inconvenience she had to manage. Her final words were the ones that made my jaw lock so tightly my temples throbbed. I'm here to secure my future. Nothing else. Once the house is mine, he's done. She hit send, then placed her phone down, turned off the lamp, and slid beneath the blankets like she had just discussed grocery lists instead of destroying the foundation of her life. She fell asleep within minutes, peaceful, relaxed, unaware. I lay beside her, staring into the darkness. Not numb, not broken. Awake, wide awake. And as the recording played silently through the phone in my hand, I realized something important. She didn't just betray my heart. She underestimated me. She thought I was predictable. She thought I'd never notice. She thought I'd never fight back. And that was her biggest mistake. Claire acted like nothing happened. She hummed while brushing her hair. She asked if I wanted scrambled or fried eggs. She mentioned going to her sister's place later. Her mask was flawless. Daniel, she said sweetly, can you pick up dry cleaning on your way home? I nodded once, watching her carefully. She leaned in, kissed my cheek lightly, the bare minimum gesture, and breezed out the door with her purse. The moment the door clicked shut, something inside me shifted. I replayed the recording again, letting her own voice harden my resolve. I wasn't going to yell. I wasn't going to confront her. I wasn't going to cry or beg or ask why. No. If she played a long game for the house, I would play a longer one, a smarter one, a cleaner one, a devastating one. I started with the basics. Property documents, marriage certificates, bank statements, insurance policies, ownership details, the house she thought she could secure behind my back. My parents had co-signed when we bought it. Their names were still on the documents. She didn't know. She assumed. And assumptions destroy people. Next, I gathered evidence. Carefully, methodically, without haste. Screenshots from phone backups. Her location history. Old messages she forgot were synced to her tablet in the guest room. Financial transfers she marked as spa days that were actually hotel stays. The more I found, the calmer I felt. Not because the betrayal hurt less. No, it hurt exactly the same. But because I was finally moving, finally taking action, finally deciding what kind of end she deserved. That Thursday, she walked into the living room with a bright smile. Babe, she said, my mom's hosting dinner this weekend. You know how she loves when we both show up. I almost laughed. Her mother adored her, worshipped her, praised her constantly. They held Claire on a pedestal, so high the clouds looked short. Of course Claire wanted me there. She needed me to keep pretending. I simply nodded. Of course. I'll be there. The way her smile widened. She believed she had full control over everything. But while she was texting her mother to confirm our attendance, I was setting up the revenge she never saw coming. I transferred the recording to a small Bluetooth speaker I had in my study. Cleaned the audio. Raised the volume just enough. Trimmed any background noise. Her own voice. Her own words. Her own ruin. All wrapped neatly in a file titled Saturday. When the day came, I dressed neatly, greeted her family politely, sat at the long dining table, and waited. I watched her pour wine into her mother's glass with that perfect daughter smile. I watched her sister compliment her earrings. I watched her father say, Claire always makes us proud. And I sat there, calm, patient, silent. knowing the truth was sitting in my pocket, ready to change every single thing they believed about her. She thought she was winning. She thought she had me exactly where she wanted. She had no idea. I was about to flip her entire world upside down. Claire looked radiant that night, wrapped in a soft blue dress that made her shimmer under her parents' chandelier. Anyone walking into that dining room would think she was the picture of grace, loyalty, and family pride. Her mother kissed her cheek, her sister hugged her tightly, and her father pulled her into a warm embrace as if she were the sun of their universe. But I knew the truth, and knowing the truth made everything she did feel like a performance, like she was dancing in a play she had written for herself, one where she was the hero, the devoted wife, the polished daughter, the woman who had everything under control. She slid her hand onto my arm gently. "Daniel, sit here," she said with that soft voice she used when people were watching. I played along. I smiled. I placed my hand over hers like I always had. But the silence inside me was no longer love. It was calculation. Her father began talking about his upcoming retirement party. Claire listened carefully, nodding, offering suggestions, glowing with the attention he gave her. Her mother chimed in to compliment Claire's thoughtful planning and strong marriage. If only they knew. Her sister raised her glass. To Claire. She's always been the responsible one and such a loving wife. "Daniel, you're lucky." I took a slow breath and forced a small smile. "Yeah," I said quietly. "I know exactly how lucky I am." Claire squeezed my arm as if she thought I just paid her a heartfelt compliment. She had no idea the fuse had already been lit. The dinner carried on with small talk and light jokes. Every 10 minutes, Claire glanced at her phone beneath the table, her thumb brushing the screen just long enough to check notifications. She tried to hide it, but I had studied that habit like a detective. She was waiting for a message from him, waiting for Logan to reply, waiting for validation, waiting for reassurance from a man she planned to leave me for. At one point, she excused herself to grab a bottle of wine from the kitchen. She didn't know I could see the glow from her screen through the hallway mirror's reflection. She angled her body away from the dining room, holding the phone close to her lips. I couldn't hear her whispering, but I didn't need to. I could see the softness in her eyes, the gentleness, the affection she used to give me. She was giving it to another man while standing just one room away from her family. My hands didn't shake. My voice didn't tremble. My breathing stayed calm, because the moment for truth was coming. She returned with a bright smile and poured wine for everyone as if she hadn't just been whispering to another man seconds before. Her mother laughed and said, "Claire, you've always had such poise. You're just like your grandmother, strong, faithful, steady." Claire beamed. She lived for moments like these. That was when her father turned to me and said, "Son, you two make marriage look easy. What's your secret?" The question hung in the air like a weight. Claire rested her hand on my knee under the table, giving it a gentle squeeze, almost a warning. I looked at her hand, then at her family, and then I said, "Sometimes the secret is pretending nothing is wrong." She stiffened. Her hand froze. Her expression didn't change outwardly, but something behind her eyes flickered. Fear, shock, confusion. Only for a second. Her sister looked at me. "What do you mean?" Claire cut in quickly. "He's just joking. Daniel's been under stress at work. Ignore him." Her voice had a slight tremble she tried to hide. She knew, somewhere deep in her gut, she knew I had stopped playing my usual role. I leaned back in my chair. "Stress doesn't cause the kind of things I've heard, Claire." Her breath hitched. Her mother's eyebrows lifted. Her father set down his fork. "Daniel," he said calmly, "you're scaring me a little. What's going on?" I didn't answer him. I reached into my jacket pocket slowly, deliberately, purposefully. Claire's eyes widened just a little, barely noticeable, but enough for me to know she recognized the movement. She whispered, "Daniel owned." Everyone turned toward her instantly. Her mother. "Don't what?" Claire swallowed hard. "Nothing. I mean, he's just—" "Daniel, can we talk privately?" "No," her father said firmly. "If something is wrong, we'll hear it together." The room went still. No clinking silverware. No chatter. Just tension thick enough to breathe. I placed the small Bluetooth speaker on the table. Claire's face drained of color. Her mother looked confused. Her father leaned forward. Her sister stared at Claire with rising suspicion. "What's that?" her father asked. I pressed the button. and the dining room filled with Claire's own whisper. He's predictable, completely clueless. Her mother's hand flew to her mouth. Claire shot to her feet, reaching across the table. "Turn it off," she snapped. But her father raised his hand sharply. "Sit down." She froze. Then came her voice again from the speaker. "I'm only staying until the house is legally settled." Her sister gasped. Her mother whispered, "No. Claire, please tell me this isn't real." Claire's lips trembled, panic rising in her eyes. But I wasn't done. I let the last line play, the one that sliced through the room like a blade. "Once the house is mine, he's done." Silence followed. A silence so deep it felt like the walls were listening. Claire stood motionless, eyes glassy, face pale, every lie exposed under the warm chandelier light. Her family turned toward her all at once, expressions shifting from shock to disappointment to something close to heartbreak. She realized then, I hadn't destroyed her life. She had destroyed it herself, and I had simply pressed play. Claire didn't sit. She didn't breathe. She looked like her entire body had forgotten how to function. Her mother stared at her with trembling hands. Her sister leaned back as if distance might soften the shock, and her father, stern, quiet, disappointed, locked his gaze on her with a heaviness that made even me swallow. "Claire," her father said softly, "tell me this is some kind of misunderstanding." She shook her head fast. "Dad, please. I can explain." Her sister scoffed. "Explain what? That you were planning to leave him the moment you got what you wanted? That you were using him for a house?" Her mother's voice cracked. "How could you say those things? You were raised better than this." Claire turned desperately toward me, eyes wide, tears forming instantly. "Daniel, please, can we talk alone? You weren't supposed to hear that. I didn't raise my voice. I didn't shout or slam anything." My calm hurt her more than anger ever could. "I'm done talking privately," I said. "Everything you did happened in the dark. It's time the truth stands in the light." She stepped closer, reaching for me. "Please, I love you." I stepped back. Her hand hung in the air, trembling. Her father exhaled slowly, disappointment etched across every line on his face. "You used your husband. You manipulated him." "What?" Claire wiped her eyes frantically. "I wasn't thinking straight. I was stressed, and Logan, he was just—" Her sister cut her off sharply. "Logan? The guy you swore was just a coworker." Claire shut her eyes as if the world was too bright, too sharp. Her father leaned forward, voice firmer this time. "You told another man you were only staying married for the house. You promised him you'd leave the second you got what you wanted." He pointed at the speaker. "And that was your own voice." Claire looked like she was drowning. "This isn't fair," she whispered. "You don't understand what I've been dealing with. Daniel works all the time, and I felt alone, and I shook my head gently. "People feel lonely sometimes. But loneliness isn't an excuse to plan someone's destruction." The air dropped colder between us. Her mother spoke next, voice barely held together. "You let us believe your marriage was strong. You let us admire you, while you were tearing your home apart behind his back." Claire paced in a tight circle, hands on her forehead, panic rising with every second. "This can't be happening. I didn't mean for it to go this far. But it did," I said quietly. "And it wasn't an accident. You made a plan. You carried it out. You hid it. And you were proud of it." She froze, staring at me with eyes that finally understood something. The version of me she had relied on, the forgiving, trusting, gentle version, was gone. Her father turned to me. "Daniel, what do you want to do now? If you want us to leave you two to talk." "No," I said. "I've said everything I needed to." Her actions speak for themselves. Claire's voice broke. "Please don't leave. We can fix this. I'll cut him off. I'll do anything." I watched her for a long, quiet moment. Not with hatred, not with anger, just with clarity. "I'm not punishing you, Claire," I said. "I'm freeing myself." Her breath caught. She understood what that meant. Her mother placed a trembling hand on my shoulder. "I'm so sorry you had to go through this." Her father nodded slowly. "You deserved honesty. You didn't get it." Claire collapsed in her chair, covering her face with both hands, the weight of her choices finally crashing onto her. I reached for my jacket. "Where are you going?" she whispered. "Home," I said. "To pack what's mine." Her head snapped up. "No, Daniel, please." Her father raised a hand firmly. "Claire, enough." I walked toward the door. Every step felt lighter than the last. Just before I left, her sister looked at me and said softly, "You handled this with more grace than anyone else would have." I nodded once. Then I stepped outside into the cool air, letting the door close behind me. I didn't take her house. I didn't take her dignity publicly. I didn't scream or curse or beg. I simply revealed her truth. And sometimes, that's the strongest revenge a person can ever deliver.